And so for me, growing up, so I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and I grew up with ADHD when I was younger. And so I was always just bullied. I couldn't focus on anything. And I was just constantly trying to like focus in school. I couldn't focus on anything. And so I built up this thing where I always wanted to please people. And I always felt like I needed acceptance in different areas of my life to have fulfillment and happiness and all of that. And so later on in life, getting into high school, getting into college, it just kept happening. It kept coming up. And I tried to conceal it and say, no, I'm good, like everything's fine. But secretly, I was dying inside. And I just didn't feel like I was worth anything. I was comparing myself to people all the time, and it was exhausting for me. And so going into college, I kind of had that same trend. When I did it, I tried to conceal it as best I could, but in college I was addicted to sex. I was watching pornography. I was addicted to all of these things that I really couldn't. I was like, okay, well, I'm doing all these things. I can't stop doing them. And so what do I do? Who am I? Like, how can I even share this with other people? And so I felt so much shame in all of that. And then I found Christ senior year, second semester, and it literally opened up so many doors. It was like a love I had never known before, where I didn't have to love someone for them to love me back. God just loved me regardless. And it was so freeing from that moment. And I think in that, I just put so much shame on myself. And I'm like, okay, well, I do this. I've sinned in this area. I've sinned in this area. I'm not good in this. So why do you love me, God? Like, what do I have to give to you? And in that, he was just saying, just give that to me. Share what you have, what you struggle with, and make that your testimony. Make that your strength in everything that you do. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it. Like, I'll do anything just to give my shame to you. And I think when I did that, I gained so much more freedom than I'd ever thought I would. And it was so scary, but in all of it, it was like there was a huge weight lifted off of me. And my identity wasn't in my sin. It wasn't in the things that I struggled in, but it was in him, who loves me more than anything. And I just didn't feel deserving. Like, I cannot, like, this doesn't feel right. I've sinned all this, but in the end, I think it had, sorry, I'm getting emotional. But with it, in my identity, that's why I feel it's so important with reconciliation. God forgave me for my sin, and in that, it's restoration of that broken relationship that I had with him. And so that's what I wanted to do at that time, because I felt so distant from him. And so once I had, restored that relationship with him, that was when I could restore it with other people as well. And so in that, in this, can you go to the next slide? In 2 Corinthians 5, if you guys can turn to page 805. All right, so we're going to read 2 Corinthians 5, 14 through 21. So for Christ's love compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And he died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for him who died for them and was raised again. So from now, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, and the old has gone, the new is here. And this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ, and gave us a ministry of reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. and he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of the world. So with that, I just wanted to highlight, I guess, what I've just been saying from the fact that in our sin, we are made new, though, in Christ. And I don't want to say, like, well, sinning, you can just have it reconciled and it's okay to sin and all of that, but I don't have it figured out yet. Like, I'm still working on that. And I found so much freedom in, I guess, within the addictions that I did have, in finding and knowing that, like, he is with me and he has cleansed me of all of that. But I still go to him even if those temptations do come up. And so, in that, can you go to the next slide? But in Revelation 7:13-14, it says, "Then one of the elders asked me, 'These in white robes, who are they, and where did they come from?' I answered, 'Sir, you know.' And he said, 'These are they who have come out of a great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.'" And I think with that, the last sentence, the last part after the semicolon, I think it's just so cool that in the midst of, like, our sin, so when we are washed from our sin in Jesus' blood, we now come out in white robes. It just does not make any type of sense whatsoever. But I think, like, that's the coolest part about reconciliation in itself, is that it does not make sense that we have sinned, but God forgives us for that sin. And I think that's just the most beautiful picture to look at, because it doesn't seem physically possible, but he does the impossible, dying for our sin, all of that. And so that's really what I just wanted to highlight here today. Kind of nervous sharing this, but thank you guys so much for listening. And yeah, there are going to be some questions after this. So thanks.